Hey, it's the Sunday after Thanksgiving. Glad to see you all back. Hopefully everybody's been safe, or maybe you're commuting back home. I may post this video today, or I might post it in a couple of days from now. It just depends how I feel. My hip's been really bothering me really bad. Kind of basically mid to late January, I'm getting a total hip replacement on the right side. And then next summer, I'll get the left done. It's old injuries from the fire department. You know, hey, all the time's catching up to me. Anyway, we're here with the Punisher Vic. The last video I showed you was basically a demo of a DA, but I was working on the hood, so the hood's completely DA'd. Sanded, I used 80 in some areas, and I busted over the whole hood with 120 actually instead of 180. On the fender here, I ran the DA lightly over the whole fender. And then I'll turn this around and show you what I'm doing. And what I'm doing here today is what we're doing on a complete paint job. But parts of this you can incorporate on just doing a panel and stuff like that. Like I tell you, I'm breaking this car down so it doesn't overwhelm me, since I'm hurting like a you know what. And you know what? Even if you're not a body man, I'm going to teach you some basic old school techniques that were taught to me 40 years ago by some lead masters. And I'm not going to use lead, but some of the principles of Autobody. I mean, even though you guys are new and are young and all, I learn a lot from you guys. Trust me, I watch your videos and I go to body shops, friends of mine, body shops. I learn from you young guys. It's a completely different world. But when you young guys work on old cars, this necessarily really an old car, it's an '07. I'm talking about, I don't know if you ever got the chance ever to work on a car from 30s, 40s, 50s. Steel was real thick, okay? And we used to be able to manipulate the steel a lot. But even back then, let's say in the 70s in body shops, professional body shops, they still use slide hammers. And nowadays, you young guys are gonna be working on cars from this, let's say you're working on a 1970 Chevelle or Camaros and stuff like that. That's old to you, which is prime to me, but it's old to you. And you're just gonna start, either stripping them or, getting ready to do some body work, repairing rust. You're gonna find some stuff in them and you're gonna be scratching your head. So what the hell, was this guy a butcher? He wasn't a butcher. It's just, even in some of the prime shops back then, we drilled holes and used slide hammers to pull out. And a lot of times, we'd have to use, we didn't have MIG welders, okay? The only thing there was oxyacetylene. So instead of using wire and oxyacetylene, they'd use brass to fill up those holes. And guys that didn't do that, some of them just put the Bondo right over the holes, okay? And they used to use an aggressive grinding grit. You used to use 24, and 3M made them, and they were called paint busters. And hell, I just took out one of my sanders that's been sitting in a box for 30, 40 years, and here's 24 grit, very aggressive. We used to use them, big hand, 7.5 inch disc, or, these smaller ones, which are 4.5, okay? Which now everybody has electric grinders and all, but we used air, okay? And I'll turn around and show you one of my tools that this was on. And I'm gonna show you a trick that we used to use, and you can use it still on Camaros and all these other cars to get your door jambs. Sometimes you'll have to, we're putting these old cars together and you want the jambs to look perfect, okay? And you got to put Bondo on both sides of the door and the fender, and you want to try to get it, even line, and you're putting sandpaper and going like this. Well, hey, I used to work on Corvettes. It was a little easier. We had tricks, okay? In the Corvettes, we used to have perfect gaps. Everybody's like, man, you got that gap so special. Let me turn this around and show you, okay? All right, here's one of the tools, okay? It's an Ingersoll Random. Oh, good Lord, you're 40 years old. I'm 60 and you're 40. I had you when I was 20. Anyway, here's a 4.5. This has got 80 on it, but what we used to do is double them, okay? You had this side here, and we put a one reverse, so your sandpaper the grit was on this side too, so it was doubled, okay? Made it a little bit thicker, but not very much. And on a Corvette, and you can do it on a steel car too. Your jam here, used to put them in, turn it on. You gotta be gentle with it, and you gotta be precise. We'd run our gaps. all the way down. Use this right here. It made the perfect size gap. Everything was uniformed. Okay, and on Corvettes, it's fiberglass. We were able to cut it. Then lightly go over with a piece of sandpaper, bam, bam, we were done. Our gaps were done. Especially we used to put front clips on, front fenders. That's a whole different world, Corvettes, okay? But even on a steel car, you can clean them up. We didn't use a very aggressive grit. I used 80 when I used to do those, okay? And that's just one trick, okay? Now on the older cars, okay? Let's say even from the 60s, 70s, 50s, you ever get lucky you work in a car from 50s and 40s, the steel was very thick, okay? And on that steel there, you could manipulate it, okay? You hammer and dolly it a lot. But what you can't do on those cars back then, what you can't do that you can do now is they have, you guys have those glue tabs, and we didn't have those stud guns that you guys got now. We didn't have that. We had to drill a hole in order to make. I used to do in some old cars, I use a piece of brass rod, braze a rod into that dent, make a hook on the end of it, then use my slide hammer, and then be able to grind off the brass rod. That was one way to do it too, but we were introducing heat to the metal. On a newer car, you would warp it. Old car, we could work it, and we used to shrink metal, heat it up, hammer and dolly a little bit, heat it up, a wet rag, steam it, it would lock it in its place. Okay, but these are things that are kind of lost now, all right? I'm showing you an area right here, and some of you body guys are going to figure it out, and you already saw it. Now, I ran over this fender with 120 grit, okay? I ran over it. All I did was bust this paint. I didn't like the paint that's on this car, we talked about in the last video. So I just ran over it, knocked it. I knocked the shine off of it. Very hard to see because the car's not wet. Dents. Now I don't have any real big dents in this car, but I have some waving. And you know what I'm talking about on waving, okay? Now, there is another way, even if the car's not wet, that we used to do and Bodyman used to do. And you see something laying on the hood right now. Maybe you can see my fingers. Oh, bam. Those are called jersey gloves, just cotton gloves, cheap ones you buy. This here, as you know what this is, it's a shop rag. All right, now this is a clean shop rag. I know it looks dirty or whatever, but it is clean, okay? It's got no oil contaminants. It's just got what I rubbed off of here, okay? So, but if you don't have a pair of these gloves, get yourself a clean shop towel. How we used to go over cars when we were doing the body work, even when the Bondo was on, after we found a dent and working it, a piece of material rather than your bare hand going over is a piece of material, especially cotton, magnifies any ripples. Okay, so what we would do is we'd take our jersey glove, let me put it on, let me show you. Okay, if you ever see in the old pictures of bodymen, we always had gloves on, the metal men, all right? Here's the jersey gloves. These things you can buy them by a pack for like $5 Harbor Freight or whatever. We would run it, you run your hand across, all across the body. Even when you're doing your body work, run it back across. And you would feel it would magnify stuff. Now, the waves on this car are so minute, so minute, the glove isn't even find it, okay? If you don't have a glove, you fold over the cloth one time, you run it, and you'll feel things, all right? It'll magnify it, okay? Now, remember, I'm going to use a polyester spray, but you call it spray-on Bondo, on this car. It will take care of most of all this. But also, I bought some lightweight Bondo to use. Now, I could use a glazing putty. When we get to that part, I'll show you. But right now, I'm showing you how to find the dents. Since I'm doing a complete on this car. We D8'd it, right? I sprayed. You see this black stuff? It's Rust-Oleum, but it's automotive. It's a primer, okay? You can buy the cheap dollar flat black. Depends what color you got. I'm working on white, so I'm using a flat black. If you were working on black, you would use the light gray. You see what I'm talking about. Red, you would light gray. The black shows up extremely well on white. It's just like, I'll use that again on the gray primer, right? Now here's my block, my long block. See? And on this block, I got 180. Now I'm just going to show you something here, just sanding real light, real fast, all right? I'm going long wise, right? Because you're gonna be looking down the fender of the car. You're gonna be looking down long. So, you see I'm sanding here, and I'm going at a crosshatch, and then I'll go this way. My other videos show you that too. Let me shut this off, sand this a little bit, and show you what we find. Hey, before we go to the back to the fender, I wanted to show you something. I saw something on YouTube, another guy teaching other people how to sand. And you know what? I don't ever talk bad about other people, but I really think it's a no-no. You're doing yourself an injustice. You know, here's my long block with 180. Here's a short block 180. These are dura-blocks. This block over here is a round block. It'll go over my lips of my fenders when I'm going over the curve. When I was doing the custom hood on that Mustang, I was using this on some flat edges. I've got other blocks here too, short blocks. I've got blocks for when I wet sand. I put wet sandpaper on them. Now, what I saw being done wrong is, what I showed you was, say if I was sanding this hood perfectly flat. You go in a crosshatch, right? That way, this way, right? You just don't do this like a sawing. That's a no-no. You're gonna leave divots in it. You have to constantly reverse. I'm going at an angle. And I'm going at an angle. See? That's how you're doing it. Same thing when you're using a short block. Same thing. I'll be going like this, maybe a little straight for a minute, coming at an angle, blocking that stuff out. And you'll see it when I'm blocking this hood for the polyester. I'll show you that again. But the no-no that I saw was, I think it was a guy showing you how to wet sand. Okay, but the same principle, some other guys were doing it. Dry sanding, don't do this. You're doing yourself an injustice. They had a block, a shorter block, let's say like this. This is what they were doing, encircling it. Oh, let's say like this, going around like this. Sure, it might look nice. You know, you're cutting it, doing like this. But when you look at a long plane, okay, you're sanding in this short area going roundy round like this. That's a no-no, okay? Because we're trying to get this surface, especially the hood, the sides of the fender, the roof, like I'm telling you. It's a long plane. You're trying to get it perfectly flat. So even if this was a clear coat and you're wet sanding, don't go like this. Even on the clear coat and you're wet sanding it, and you're wanting to get it to where you look down that show car, it's not wavy. It is a perfect sheet of glass. Long, nice strokes at an angle. Maybe you don't want to just saw it like that, or this. Nice, long, even strokes. Don't even push up. Let the paper do the work. Okay? Please. It's not hard. Anyone can do this. These same principles are done in woodworking, things like that. Making custom boats, working on fiberglass molds, working on Corvettes. That's how it's done. The old masters taught me, I'm passing this on to you. All right? I don't think they reinvented how to sand. They may have reinvented higher and better grit sandpapers, but the basic principle of how to get something straight, they haven't reinvented it. Except for somebody, like I say, like he freaking, I don't know what he's doing, washing it. Okay? Remember, nice, long. All right, we got that. We'll go to the other part of the video. I want to make sure you got it, guys. Okay, I just put the block down. We've lightly sanded off the primer. So let me point out what I found, okay? You see this? We went to metal. Here's primer, there's metal, there's metal. But look, there's still primer here, okay? So our long block was going this and a crosshatch and crosshatch. It would stop. Can't go any further, metal, right? So we stopped. That shows me layer-wise what's low. That's the lowest portion right here. Now, in the video, it looks like you could really feel it. You can't. Okay, it's so minute. Now we come over here, all right? I had some suspicions looking down longwise on the car when it was shiny. I saw a little waving, minute. Well, sanding over here. I'm also using the paint that's on this car, okay? I'm using it almost like it's primer because I'm blocking it down and then I stop. Okay, I stop when I hit metal or when I get to the substrate primer. So right here, I got down to the primer. We got down and I found a little bit of Bondo right there. Okay, so that lets me know, look, there's a little bit of gray here. So it's low right in this area. You can't feel it. So minute, and because I shaved it down too. Now we come over here, right here. Look, this is the door edge where the door fender meets the door. Look right here. See, I couldn't hit that. Long block going across. It hits, I'm down to metal. I'm still on paint here. Got a low spot right there. Really can't even feel it. It's just very minute. Same thing down here. A little bit of gray primer left right there. Can you feel it? Nope. But the block, using a long block, reveals a lot of things. This is what I'm trying to tell you. When you go to a custom paint job and everything, time and time in your prep. You have to block. Now, how we can fix these problems. Now I'm going to be using a hybrid polyester spray-on, basically Bondo. It's called primer, but it's a polyester, so it's like spray Bondo. And the millage will be thick enough to cover this, all right? But we have a choice if we didn't do that. This is the glaze I was telling you about. Basically, what this is very, 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 very thin Bondo. You could fill, you could go over some bodywork with it, fill some deeper scratches with it. I think properly it's up to 16-inch deep, they say. It's so thin, and it sands very light. And it says you should prep the area to like 80 grit all the way up to 180 is allowable to wipe it on top of, right? So that could go over paint, and that could go over Bondo, as long as it's scratched with 80 to 180. And then it can be finished with 180 to 220. And then you prime on top of it. Now this is a U-pole lightweight Bondo. Okay? Bondos are different than they were years ago. Bondos years ago were like, honestly, I keep using the word Bondo because there is a brand, Bondo. And that stuff is very hard to work with. It's the old fillers we used to use with it. It was top of the line. It was the new age stuff back instead of when they got rid of lead, you went to that. But guys used to put it on very thick, and workmanship, you young guys and all, workmanship has come up a long way. I mean, a lot of times guys, time is money, so they used to fill in a lot of stuff. Okay, you guys got all these different ways to pull stuff now. But anyway, this is a lightweight filler, and it's a U-pole, and I've had nothing but good luck with U-pole stuff. Lightweight stuff sands very easy. If you go to Walmart, buy the Bondo brand Bondo. I don't have any around here, but it's hard to work with. It's hard to sand. It's, back in the day, it was great. It's garbage. I should tell you, it's garbage. Don't bother with it. Unless you're building some $100 car that you're going to wipe it into dents and sand it off real rough and do, shoot it with whatever, Rust-Oleum, like you see some of these videos. Yeah, it has its place, I guess. But not for quality work, okay? So we're going to use this. And for what I got here, I don't need the lightweight filler. For what I got here, I can use this glazing on it, or I can spray the polyester on it and see what's left. I'm pretty sure I could block it out with the polyester, and that's probably what I'm going to do, because this, I can apply this over the polyester also, as long as I have 80 to 180, blocked out. So if I carve this out of the polyester with 180 before I went to a finer grit, I would come on here and I would wipe a little bit of that if anything is showing, if anything didn't go away. And then that would fill out. And then I can go from there, and then I'll show you that step later. So anyway, you got an idea how we're doing this? All right, so this fender's almost done. I'll finish doing all the corner sanding and stuff. Up here, you'll see this hood's already prepped and ready to be shot with the polyester. The only thing left for me to do now is run a DA on that other fender and block it too. See if I find anything in there that I need to be aware of. You know, I could actually do this really, really fast, but I'm just taking my time. Okay, with my hip and stuff, I'm doing this thing like if it was a Maserati. I'm just taking my time with it. And I'm finding out different repairs that were done in this car through its history. I don't know the car's history. I see there's a little bit of lightweight filler there, a little bit, you know, on the hood. When I was working on the hood and taking off all that solvent popping we had, the terrible part here, I looked, no Bondo over here, but I was seeing some stronger sand scratches, okay? And I found there was some light skims of Bondo here and there. And that was probably from maybe some hail dent or who knows what it was. It's a police car. And these dents that we had on the fender, you know what these were caused from? I guarantee you. When the mechanics through the years were working on it, the mechanic would put his hip here to lean over and work on stuff. It just lines up perfectly where your hip or your knee would be in it. And the other one would be here, same place. You know, so that's where it is. You know, these cars are lighter gauge. You know, especially the replacement parts. Oh, Lord, I can tell you how thin those are. Anyway, that's it for today. Please hit that like, subscribe, hang around. Give me about 5 more minutes. Later, when I go up to my office, take a shower, I'll ask a question for the stickers. And if you haven't been around, I always give away first 2 people answer the question correct. Either it's a car question, or automotive question, some kind of history question, or a movie question. And if you win, I send you a sticker. And to those guys that are in Canada, listen, I found a problem. We were putting postage, and my post office guy over here was telling me, just put that on, it'll get there. I didn't realize Canada is a very big country to where you have different provinces, and some stuff got to you guys, and stuff. Like the other day, I got one back. So I apologize. I'll be going to the post office and having the guy properly weigh it. I know it's just a sticker in an envelope, but hey, I'm sorry. It just didn't get there. I got one back, and so you will get it. So hang with me. Anywhere else in the world, it's opened up too. So thank you so much for hanging around, guys, and learning with me. Okay, I'm back to school again. What I learned, I share it with you. What I know, I share it with you. And there's some great guys on YouTube. If you're interested in bodywork or painting, I will put like 2 or 3 different guys on there that I really like. And they're young guys. The one guy works at a dealership. He's fantastic. It's Paint Society is his page. The other guy is Sprayway. Another guy is Far Away. I mean, these young guys are great. They paint with candies, all this stuff. I learn. I like to learn. You know, it's like my saying, if you're not learning something new every day, you must be dead. Hey, just hang out a little bit for the questions. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. It's time for the question time for a movie or equipment or history type question, okay? Car question, whatever comes in my head. Since this video was about prepping a car, this is the question I got. I want to know who invented Bondo. Name of the guy who invented Bondo. And it was invented in 1955 from a guy in Miami, Florida. And that's the original Bondo. So we want to know the name of the guy that invented it. Also, one more thing. It was later, it is a patented trademark of 3M, okay? So 3M makes tape and all adhesives, all that kind of stuff you already know. Tell me also what 3M stands for, okay? So the name of the guy that invented Bondo and what 3M stands for. Stands for, it's 3 words, okay? Anyway, that's it. But hey, remember this is the description for the rules for the contest. always in the description. And remember, if you do win, I'm sorry, I turned this upside down. Tell me if it's for the old sticker, which is a little bit bigger. It says, remember, if not learning something new every day, you must be dead. Or the image that you always see when the video is coming on, which my son drew. This is the new sticker, right? It says Mustang Rebuilder. You just tell me if you're a winner, you tell me I want the old sticker or the new sticker. Very simple, okay? First 2 people answer the question correct, win the sticker. Open to anyone in the world. And, you know, I mentioned in the video about you guys in Canada, I'm really sorry, but, you know, we're straightening it out with the U.S. Postal Service. Or should I say, my postal guy. Thanks anyway. See you all soon. And I hope this video didn't bore you or anything. It's a little lengthy, but I had to make it in depth a little bit because, you know, try to pass on some knowledge. Anyway, if you find something to where you want to add to it or whatever, post a positive comment. And make sure, please, if you watch this to the end, hit the like button, the thumbs up. And remember, to be able to win, you got to be a subscriber. Anyway, see you on the next one. Bye-bye.